By now, you've all heard about the Trey Murphy injury reports, the conversation. I'm going to tell you some of the things that I can share from some private conversations that I have, some of the things I think, and ultimately what it means or doesn't mean for the Pelicans. You might be surprised about some of my answers, but let's talk about it.
You must know that first. Can't nothing and nobody fade what we trying to do and what we about to do. Second thing is, we got this game on our level. You understand what I'm saying?
Welcome to another episode of In Space. I am your healthier and healthier host here, Chris Connor. Had the flu last week, had like wisdom tooth problems, which I'm like everything's being scheduled and taken care of, man. Like I was going through it, but feel the best that I felt in a while right now. Shout out to our good people at DraftKings Sportsbook, Jägermeister, as well as Birdsall Law Firm. And yeah, let's start the show. So I'll get right into it, man. I mean, as I said in the intro, you guys have seen all of the news on Trey Murphy, and I'm sure that there's been a lot of different think pieces and videos that have been out already. And I'm not here to tell you a whole bunch different, but I will say that I think if you've listened to, or if you know anything about me in my past year, I try to look at things as balanced as possible. But in regards to this particular subject, Trey Murphy has been one of my favorite people to talk about. He's been one of my favorite Pelicans, one of my favorite players, and just human beings from what I know of him to step in New Orleans in a very, very, very long time, all things considered. I can't think of many role players that have hit the ground running like him, that's been drafted in New Orleans, that also have his level of potential. And I mean, just being able to meet his family, have conversations with people surrounding him for the last 2 years has been dope. They have embraced New Orleans, and so is he. And anybody that embraces New Orleans day one and consistently continues to embrace and say that they love New Orleans, they love the city, they love the people, and they continue to show it, not just with their words, but with their actions. How could you have something much of anything negative to say about them? The excitement about Trey is one thing as a basketball player, but this conversation and a lot that with the people I talked to today was about the human Trey Murphy. Because to me, that's what matters more than anything else. And the calls that I made were all centered around the human. And that's what we'll get into. So I'm gonna tell you some things that I know per my conversation today that I can share. I'm not gonna speculate too much, and I'm not gonna share everything that I learned or that I know about today, because it really ain't nobody's business. It's barely my business, to be honest. I was just called to make sure he was straight, he was in good spirits, and the people that I talked to were in great spirits or were doing okay. Like that's pretty much it. All that other shit is like way like down the line. The basketball element, it's not important when it comes to, my opinion, when it comes to injuries. But I know, like, listen, I mean, he's a Pelicans player. The season's upcoming. Everybody wants to know when will he be back on the floor. That's, what I'm saying? That's human. That's what fans want to know. I understand that side of it as well. I was more concerned personally about the human element, because I know anytime I'm going through something, whether I tell a bunch of people or not, it always feels good when folks, even if I'm not going through something, people call you, be like, yo, man, you straight, you good? Or they text you like, yo, thinking about you, you all right? That matters, man. That goes a long way, because we more than just, our job, or we more than just, our responsibilities. We human beings with emotions and everything. Speaking of human beings and emotions, anybody that is excited or wants to get used to this genuine Chris Brown thing I got going on right here on my hair, don't. And now this is like natural. This isn't like this, like just my hair gets curly. I'm sure you probably seen it in previous episodes from time to time. I'll tell y'all this: anytime my hair gets like this, just tell me go to the barbershop, because I've been missing to go to the barbershop. It's terrible, but don't get used to it. At some point very soon, this will be cut and the do-rag will be back on more times than not. But enough on that. Trey Murphy, what can I share? So the first thing that I can share is that from the conversations that I've had today, he's in good spirits. He's in good spirits, and the people that I talk to as well are in good spirits. And that, they were positive, and that's good, man. Like, you never know. I haven't had a whole bunch of conversations like this with people. So, your first thought process is, especially how fresh the news was, like, hey, I expected maybe a somber conversation. Nah, that wasn't the case. It was people, it was multiple parties and people close to Trey that were, very upbeat. And that's what you need, man. That's what you need in your circle when even, when bad things, tough things happen to you. You need the people around you to, to kind of, keep you grounded and, upbeat in a rough setup situation like Trey's in right now. And only from the perspective of, man, like, look, bro, could you imagine being a month out before the season's about to start, before training camp, before preseason, all the work that you put in? Even the players you think that don't work hard put in a lot of work, man. More work than you know. Trey put in a lot of work and does work hard and does love the game of basketball. And to be this close to the season starting and being back out there and with all the different expectations and hype and the excitement, it's tough, man, to have this happen now, have it happen at all. You know what I'm saying? So to hear that he's in good spirits and, he's going to be okay, that felt good. You know what I mean? That felt good because that was really my only concern. You know what I'm saying? And, I think one of the special things about Trey, I kind of, hinted to it early, is that, man, he's one of them people that kind of has like the complete package. He's an exciting player to watch, of course. He can, he's improved his game each step of the way. We know what he is as a shooter. He finishes around the rim, but everybody appears to like him, and nobody says people gravitate towards him. You know what I'm saying? He likes being around people and talking to people, being silly, hopped into spaces with us, man. I like, he didn't have to do that, hop into Twitter spaces and, chop it up with the folks, with the people, but just be himself, being goofy, being silly, you know what I'm saying? But having a real conversation just with people. And, they tell you, like, you don't always want to meet, these athletes that you cover, that you talk about, because they may not be very nice to you. They may not be assholes. Everybody, or they may be assholes. Every time I got a chance to see Trey, always respectful. What up? Shake your hand, so on and so forth. The people that I know that have had that have a relationship actually with him will tell you the same thing. You know what I'm saying? I know some of the things he's done for his city or for the city since he's been in New Orleans, always finding ways to give back. And his people, man, his dad, Kenny, his mom, Abita, man, wonderful people that have also been a part of New Orleans and say nothing but great things about it and have found ways to give back and help people. Abita always on Twitter, you know what I'm saying, showing love, following folks, chopping it up with you about, almost anything. Just they just people, man, just regular folks that are invested in New Orleans. That's big time, man. You can't say that you've had a whole bunch of individuals that's like that. So that's another thing that makes them special. It's not just the basketball player element, it's the human being that Trey appears to be, and the folks around him that have helped shape that. And you know what I'm saying, that's dope, man. You don't want to see him, you don't want to see anybody in a situation where that can possibly be compromised. But for Trey, everybody. And I remember I told Kenny this, his dad, like a year ago. I was like, yo, man, people just root for your son. They just want to see him just do well, just the person. That's it. They just want to see the dude because they genuinely like him. You know what I'm saying? Like that's it. They just want to see him do well. And being an exciting basketball player with that level of potential on top of that, with that personality, being on TV, you know what I'm saying? The comedic timing and the different podcast appearances and so on and so forth. For a dude that wasn't drafted to be a superstar, that's rare. You don't really get that 100%, out of a lottery pick, and to match that level of work ethic. So that's one of the things that I can share. He's in good spirits, right? I'll move on after that. The second thing that I can share is this could take some time. And I'm not talking about just the injury in itself. I mean, like, in today's era, more and more players are, they're taking as many alternate routes and, getting their injuries looked at by as many professional opinions as possible. I'm not here to tell you how long it will take for Trey or which route it will go, but I can tell you that it's just something that more and more players have done. A lot of Pelicans players have done it. You know what I mean? That are currently on the team. I don't anticipate Trey to be any different. Like, you have to do what you have to make sure, and not even at the disrespect or to shun the team, or anything like that. More so just to what harm is it in having 4 or 3 an additional pair of professional eyes on your situation, in his case on his knee, to make sure he's making the best decision for himself going forward, and he's putting himself in the best spot to return to the floor, not just return to the floor healthy, but return back to being himself. So when I say it's going to take some time, it could be a few days before we really figure out. Anybody that wants like timelines, people that's been asking, oh, is he going to be out 6 to 8 weeks? He going to be out 3 to 4 months, 2 to 5, 4 to 6. No one can really tell you that today, because what meniscus is, you don't know. It's a lot of different, like most ligaments, there's a lot of different things that have to be fully confirmed. What kind of situation was it? Was it a sprain? Was it a tear? Was it a partial tear, a big tear, a small tear, complete tear? What kind of procedure will they take after that? Is it a major or a minor surgery, procedure? It's so many different, it's more elements to it than just a simple, okay, is he missing this amount of time, that amount of time, So it might take some time. I don't think anybody knows enough right now to really make statements on a timeline in regards to him returning. So we'll see how that plays out in the next, few days or whatever. So those are the things I think for right now that I feel comfortable sharing. I just don't think, I don't like to get into the gossip and like the reporting element. Like, there's professionals, there's jobs to do that. And I respect the people that I've had conversations with that are close to Trey too much to really get into some of the other things that we talked about. I think if they want to share that at some point, then that's up to them. But it ain't my business to tell, this kind of situation. What's supposed to come out will come out, but he's in good spirits. From what I know, he's positive. The people around him seem to be positive, and it may take you may not know for sure what he looks like in regards to returning to the floor, and for another couple of days. Who knows? Could be tomorrow. Like, we don't know. Might take some time. So those are the 2 things that I could share. I hope that gives you something. Now we'll lead into what I think based off of the things that I've been told. And these are just my opinions. These are my opinions, how I left feeling some of these conversations or leaving some of these conversations. The first thing is this. I think, I can't confirm, I can't report, because again, I just told you, nobody knows. I think he, in combination to him playing basketball this season, which I think, even if the worst case scenario was in place, in which he did miss 4 months, 4 to 6 months, whatever the case may be, that still puts him in some type of timeline to technically return for the season. I think, of course, that will happen. I think that he will return. Well, first off, I think he will miss time. He will miss regular season time. My opinion is that could mean anywhere between, early November return, or maybe before the new year. I don't know. We'll have to see. He's a guy, talked to his dad about this about, a year ago, and many times, that the dude that doesn't get hurt. He hasn't really experienced an injury like this. So we don't know, what that can do for him, which is another reason I wanted to make sure he was cool and okay. Because your first injury, man, I mean, we see with a lot of different athletes, some people don't recover. Some people don't recover. Some people take the mental element of it, takes them out of it for a period of time. So to see that brother is in, it takes a strong dude, especially this close to the season, to be like, to be positive about it and being, like, I'll be straight. Like that. That's dope to see. It tells you a lot about what somebody is made of. Because as an athlete, man, you don't know when, your next step, your next jump, your next run, your next, if you're in football, your next tackle, your next, basketball, again, your next jumper, your next block attempt could be, oh wow, could be your something that sidelines you for the next few months or so. You don't really know, man. So, yeah, I think that he will miss some time. But if I had to bet money, I would bet on a less amount of time, the lesser part of the equation than the um 4, 5, 6 months element of it. I think he could possibly miss 2 months. I don't know. Could be a month and a half. You know what I mean? But I think he'll be back sooner rather than later. That's just what I believe. That could be wrong, could be proven right, but that's my belief. But I don't think he's going to miss a large amount of regular season time. But I guess that's subjective as well. We'll see. But again, nobody knows. It's just my opinion. All right. The second thing that I think, based off of what I've been told, well, no, not even based off what I've told. I think we're off of we can be off of that. Trying to think. I told y'all what I think about how long he might miss or return. I think he's gonna come back when it's time. I think he's gonna come back more than ready for it, than ever. Because we've seen injuries in the past to where, especially with knee injuries, sometimes guys take time to really get going again and feel like themselves. How would that happen for Trey? How would that work for Trey? I had a player tell me once, a former player tell me, like, a lot of that is mental. A lot of that is, there are guys that think that they'll never get hurt. And then there are guys that get hurt that are down on themselves for so long, they never really, it delays their recovery. And once they are fully healthy, it delays their confidence in being themselves. I get the feeling that when it is time for Trey to return, there'll be some rust there. There'll be some indecision, but I bet the money on him returning back closer to the guy that he was training to be sooner rather than later. You know what I'm saying? And then, we can end this with the basketball element of this. I think, look, man, the Pelicans were a team that I think needed an additional shooter or two, even with a healthy Trey Murphy. So without him, it's even more. I mean, now, once again, like that's adding pressure to your newest rookie, right? Jordan Hawkins. Now it almost becomes a necessity for him to play because unless the team goes out and adds a free agent of sorts or makes a last minute trade. But I think that they're gonna need added shooting. It may force them to do something that I think that they already needed to do. Just did a show yesterday about some of the other teams and different variety levels of shooting. For a team that struggled with space, even when Trey was out there and how teams were guarding them, you lose a dude that can spot up 30 feet and have to be respected out there, and then off of the catch is a threat at the rim. That's not as easy to replace as people want it to be. But before the season starts, the off seasons, everything considered, it was about Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. And those two dudes need to be healthy and need to be playing basketball regardless. And if they're playing spectacular and they start to click as a duo, and they figure out some things to take us some time, and then you add CJ McCollum, making this thing possibly a real big three in the in an elite or a really good big three in this league, they're able to do that early and often. Look, not only could the Pelicans could they stand a Trey Murphy injury for a certain period of time, but they could probably sustain a couple of other role playing injuries. That's how dominant this trio, and specifically the duo of Brandon and Zion, could be if they find a way to figure it out in a tweaked offense and a couple an additional few parts here and there. Yeah, there's some other role players that are gonna have to step up. If Trey has to miss a significant amount of time, whatever the case may be. But I think at the end of the day, it falls on who it fell on, in the beginning. Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram. They figure it out. I think more likely than not, this team will they'll be able to get through it. If those two aren't healthy and aren't playing well, and they still are going through lows and trying to figure out how to get the best out of each other consistently and playing, a bunch of different games, none of it really matters. That's just the truth. The beauty about Trey Murphy was that he's a guy that once those guys go out, we know how much he compliments Brandon and Zion. He became their favorite targets in a lot of different respects. I mean, who doesn't love a shooter that can, that's compared to Rashard Lewis that's in the dunk contest? Who doesn't like a damn near 40, 50, 90, 50, 40, 90 guy? Who doesn't, who wouldn't like that? But, it's going to make an impact on the floor. But if one of those guys are out, having him, we saw the stretch the march he had, and the improvements that he's been making and had made off the dribble, and as someone you can throw the ball over to, and he can end up making a few plays per game. Was that going to get better, and how often would you need it? Well, that's what it is. So now, are you more invested, even more? Are you back to Jonas, right? Are you back to getting him more involved earlier in the season, leaning on him for substantial? I mean, there's so many different thoughts, right? Now, is Dyson Daniels more important off the bench? What does it mean, for Najee? A lot of these guys off the bench, their minutes are going to go up. It clears pretty much any conversation about the starting lineup. If anyone who I was on the part of the mindset that I would want Trey Murphy starting, well, doesn't seem like that's going to be possible with this kind of injury, no matter how long he ends up missing. So now you're talking about he's surely coming off the bench. So where are you getting that expected production with what you have? And can you end up making it happen? What kind of pressure does it put on Jordan Hawkins? What kind of pressure does it put on previous rookies? Who that wasn't expected to play, or maybe was expected to play, that gets an uptick in minutes, ends up benefiting the most? There's a lot of questions in regards to the basketball element of it. But again, my concern from the conversations that I had today was about that brother's psyche, and was about how everybody surrounded in this situation that loves and cares about Trey Murphy was doing. And to hear that they were all seen to be in good spirits, that was the most important to me. All that other shit, will take care of itself. The basketball element will take care of itself. The Pelicans will either be good, average, or not good, one way or another. But end of the day, we all want to see Trey Murphy do well. Like I said, man, the individual, I think what people don't talk about enough is that while we all understand what kind of help he can do for the team, I think the individual potential of someone like that, at his size, with his ability, is what people kind of were most excited about. I think, his individual growth is what people were really excited about. The consistent, advancement to his game, building off of the end of last season that he had with added opportunity, being in a new and a different offense that was so, going into his third year, getting stronger. The individual element, y'all could be honest, it was the individual element of this dude who was a 3-point shootout threat and also a slam dunk contest, participant. What does that guy look like in year 3? And do you possibly have a star in your hands? Those were all of the thoughts. They may unfortunately have to be put on hold for now. But end of the day, we just all want to see that brother in good spirits, mentally and physically. And it will be very interesting to see how these next few days go in regards to his health, and what the timetable is for him to return on the floor and build off of what I think was a powerful offseason, and what, was on the cusp of putting him in a situation to really build and play, have a magnificent third year, even with limited or less usage that he will one day end up getting. So I hope that gave you guys something. I hope that, if you made it to the end of the video, I didn't disappoint you with some of the information that I was able to share and some of the things that I thought about the situation. Having a good day. I appreciate y'all, man. As far as I'm concerned, I had a record break in August in regards to the content, pushed myself in levels that I didn't think I would be able to do with my regular schedule, my regular job, my girlfriend, and all of my other responsibilities, family, friends, health, everything considered. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully September can build off this as we come towards to media day, and everything else that's on the horizon for basketball, FIBA, and all those things. And Larry Nance show will be very soon. We said mid-September. That could be maybe as soon as next week. So the Larry Nance Spaces that will also be broadcasted here will be very soon. If you missed it, we will talk to Larry for a third time. And, hopefully by then we have some positive news on Trey Murphy and many other dudes, man. So y'all have a good day. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all. By the time y'all get this, I guess it might be Wednesday. I'm not sure, but I holler at y'all. You was in space. Now you out.
Can you believe we've had 7 months without an NFL game? Crazy, right? Well, good thing that's over. NFL's here, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is giving you a can't-miss offer for Week 1. This week, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5 on any NFL game. DraftKings is hooking everyone up with game day greatness. All customers can take advantage of 2 new offers every single game day this September. Check the app to see what you get. Download now and use code BOOT to sign up. New customers can take home $200 in bonus bets instantly just for betting $5. That's code BOOT only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. The crown is yours.